Evelyn was 29 years old. She'd been to therapy. She'd read the books. She'd even made a list of everything she no longer wanted in a relationship. 6 months later, she was in the same cycle, same dynamic, different man, identical pattern. She looked at me and asked, "What's wrong with me?" The answer was not what she expected to hear. 73%. It's not due to a lack of willpower, nor bad luck. It's pure psychology. And today, you're going to understand exactly why this happens and how to break free from this loop once and for all. The first question I want to ask you is simple. Why, even knowing what we don't want, do we keep choosing exactly that? Because the obvious answer would be lack of self-awareness, lack of attention, lack of care in one's own choices. But I don't believe that, and psychology doesn't either. Evelyn knew. She had a list. She had done the work, and yet it happened again. So the problem wasn't in her consciousness. The problem was in something much older than any list could reach. There's a part of the human mind that doesn't operate by logic. It operates by familiarity. And familiarity, for the brain, doesn't mean safety. It means recognition. It means home. Even when that home was a place that hurt. When you grew up in an environment where love came mixed with tension, with uncertainty, with the feeling that you had to earn attention, your nervous system learned that this is what love looks like. Not because you wanted to, not because you were weak, but because your brain, in childhood, did the only job it knew how to do. Map the world around it and create a model of how things work. And that map, you carry it to this day, silently. If we know a pattern is hurting us, why is it so hard to break it? This is where most people make a huge mistake. They think repeating is weakness, that returning to the same cycle means they haven't learned anything, that they should have more strength, more discipline, more clarity. But that's not true, and I need you to understand this precisely. Repeating isn't weakness. Repeating is the system doing exactly what it was programmed to do. Think of it this way. When you meet someone who activates that familiar feeling in you, that mix of attraction, urgency, and a slight anxiety you can't quite name, your body interprets this as a deep connection, as chemistry, as this person is different. But what's happening in practice is that you've recognized a pattern your nervous system already knows how to handle, that already knows the steps. And the brain prefers the known, even if it hurts, to the unknown that could be good. That's why healthy relationships at first sometimes seem boring to certain people. Not because they're bad, but because they don't activate the same level of familiarity. They don't pulse at the same rhythm as the old map. Evelyn didn't choose to suffer. She chose what felt like intensity. And nobody tells you that intensity and trauma sometimes have the same emotional signature. So what exactly are we repeating? It's not the people. People change. Faces change, stories change, names change. What repeats is the dynamic. It's the emotional script. It's the choreography you learned back then about what you need to do to feel loved, accepted, safe. Some people learn that they need to diminish themselves so as not to scare the other person away. Others learn that love comes after the chase and lose interest when the chase ends. Still others learn that excessive care for the other person is the way to ensure they won't be abandoned. Each of these narratives has an origin. It has a logic. It made sense at some point. And it continues to be executed, automatically, without conscious permission, in every new relationship. It's not you choosing to repeat. It's your attachment system doing what it knows how to do. Seeking to resolve, in the present, a wound that was left open in the past. The problem is that the present cannot heal the past when you're using the past as a guide for the present. And now we arrive at the deepest question, the one most people never ask themselves. What do I gain by repeating this pattern? I know it sounds strange. Nobody consciously wants to repeat something that hurts. But there's a hidden gain in every cycle that repeats, and ignoring it is the biggest obstacle to change. For some people, the gain is the feeling of control in a situation that seems familiar. For others, it's the hope that this time it will be different, that this time they'll be able to make the other person change, that if they love enough, dedicate enough, wait enough, the ending will be different. This has a name in psychology. It's called repetition compulsion, and it's not madness. It's the mind trying, in a distorted way, to resolve something that was never resolved. like a wound that itches, and we scratch it, even knowing it makes it worse. Evelyn wasn't trying to hurt herself. She was trying to win, trying to prove, somehow, that this time she would be enough, that this time the love she learned to seek would finally stay. And this is the part that moves me most about this topic, because behind every repeated pattern, there's someone who is trying, who is, in their own way, fighting to be loved. So what do we do with all this? Here, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to give you a step-by-step guide. Not because there isn't a path, there is, but because real change never comes from a list of instructions. It comes from the moment you stop seeing yourself as the problem and start seeing yourself as someone who learned to survive in a way that no longer serves you. This is the only point where I have a clear, personal stance, and I won't budge from it. Self-judgment is what keeps the cycle alive longer than any external pattern. You don't repeat because you're weak. You repeat because you're human, because you learned early, because your system was trying to protect you with what it had available. Evelyn, at the end of that conversation, didn't leave with answers. She left with a different question. Instead of, "What's wrong with me?" she started asking herself, "What in me is still trying to resolve something old?" This change in question doesn't solve everything, but it opens a door that judgment kept closed. And sometimes understanding why we repeat is the first real gesture of care we can have for our own story. Not because we are victims of it, but because it belongs to us, and it deserves to be looked at with less harshness than we usually apply. If you've made it this far, I'm sure you've already liked and subscribed to the channel, haven't you? If you haven't yet, please don't forget to support us. See you next time.